I hope you're as excited as I am for webinar 3 of this 4-part series tonight. Exercise is good for so many things because what we do with our physical body, of course, impacts our mental state. It can impact our stress levels and our mind-body connection, just to name a few of the things. And tonight we're going to be talking about the importance of exercise. And co-hosting with me tonight is Elisa Gracci. She is a Canadian Diamond Director here in Canada. And Elisa certainly makes physical activity a part of her healthy lifestyle. Elisa, in today's climate, so many of us are sitting at home and fitting in self-care has become a real challenge. However, prioritizing your health is paramount. What are your thoughts on prioritizing your self-care right now?
Yes, and first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Allison, and everyone here for including me tonight. I'm really excited about tonight's topic. It's definitely one of my favorite topics, which is keeping our bodies in movement, exercise. It's so essential to our well-being. And I feel so grateful that we have the community we do, Allison. You know, there's been so many incredible elements to how we've become resourceful and we've pivoted and created some ingenuity around creating opportunities to exercise from home. So everything from, you know, our online fitness workshops, we've really had a lot of fun with exploring new ways that we can make sure to incorporate exercise amongst what's been kind of going on in our world. So really excited about tonight's call, and I think everyone here is going to get so much out of this. Shall I go ahead and introduce our guest speaker tonight, Allison?
Oh, please do. Thank you, Elisa.
I was actually going to say too, how awesome is it that with our new challenge that we just had with our, remind me what we call that new challenge, the latest challenge,
The
our
Healthy Jumpstart Challenge.
jump.
Mhm.
Congratulations to all of you, especially our Peloton bike winners. Those are going to come to really good use right now, aren't they, Al?
Isn't that an amazing prize? For sure. And we had a bunch that also won $500 Visa gift cards to purchase gym equipment. So if you're in the audience tonight, huge congratulations to you.
Yes, huge congratulations. And really huge congratulations to all of you who have found ways to incorporate fitness, movement, exercise. And that's really what tonight's about, regardless of how we're doing it. I don't think we could label it in one way or another, but it's really just about keeping our bodies moving and healthy. And without further ado, I feel very fortunate and honored to introduce our expert, our guest speaker. Um, Katie is actually here with us tonight, and she is our senior food scientist. So, Katie Burton, am I pronouncing that correctly? Your last name, Katie? I just want to.
You are, yeah.
She received her Bachelor and Master of Science in Food Science from Brigham Young University. She started her career at General Mills and worked on several product categories during her career. She was also part of an international joint venture between Nestle and General Mills. And Katie left General Mills after 13 years, wow, and joined the USANA R&D team, which I just learned tonight. It's officially 2 years, right, Katie, that you joined our R&D
Yeah.
team. How
Yep.
amazing. Such an incredible R&D team. And she's worked on several products, and specifically for our active nutrition line, most notably the new active nutrition Nutrimeal Whey and shakes. And in her spare time, Katie enjoys rock climbing, mountain biking, traveling, and spending time with her family. Some of my favorites too, Katie. So we have a lot in common. So thank you, Katie, so much for being here tonight. We're really excited to learn from you. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. It's so good to be with you. I appreciate the warm welcome from the team here. Just to dive in a little bit more about me. So like they mentioned, my name is Katie, and I've been a part of the research and development team here for almost 2 years. Like it was mentioned, I have a master's degree in food science from Brigham Young University. And so combined total with my time at General Mills and time at USANA has been about 15 years in the food industry. So like was mentioned, a lot of my time was spent at General Mills, working on a lot of products. I was part of a global team, and so I worked on a lot of products for Central and South America, most notably Mexico, Chile, Colombia, Brazil, and then I did a couple of projects in Belgium and Switzerland as well. So I loved my time at General Mills, but I was looking for a new challenge and found this role at USANA, and it has been amazing since I've like walked through the door. And during my time here, I've spent a lot of time working on the active nutrition products, and they're going to be coming out here in a couple of months. I'm so excited for you guys to see these products and to try them. So overall, it's been a great time here. When I was at General Mills, I was based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And as you can see, I did all things Minnesotan, including dog sledding. And then, like mentioned, outside, I really enjoy traveling and going on adventures while I travel. So this is me hiking in the glacier in Iceland, and then canyoneering in Bali. Mountain biking, totally got into mountain biking when I moved back to Utah. Rock climbing still is a huge passion of mine. Hiking is awesome in Utah as well. And then I have a pretty large family, and so it's great to be able to be near them and spend time with them. So overall, I'm sure some of you might be thinking, all right, you're talking about exercise, but you're a food scientist, so you know what gives. I would just say I have a huge passion for exercise and fitness. And so when they asked me to pick a topic, this was like right off the top of my head was something that I wanted to talk about tonight. So exercise is a ginormous topic, and I'm sure no one wants to be here until midnight. So I will focus my presentation on the what, the when, and the why of exercise. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, I'm going to define what is exercise. So there are 4 types of exercise, and with each of those, there's health benefits associated with it. But the 4 types are endurance, strength, balance, and flexibility. Now, tonight, I'm going to really focus in on endurance and strength, and I'll define those again just to make sure that we're all thinking and talking the same thing as I go through this presentation. So for endurance, that's also called aerobic exercise. Now, the key to this is that you elevate your heart rate and your breathing increases. So a lot of people associate this type of exercise with going to the gym and slogging it on the treadmill for 30 to 60 minutes. And I'm not gonna lie, if you ask me that, I'm gonna say that sounds miserable. And I'm sure, some of you can corroborate that. And then, if people think that that's all the exercise is, then, they may say, I'm out, I'm not going to exercise. But aerobic exercise runs the gamut, and it can be done in so many locations and in so many different ways. And we've, showed a couple examples here with sports and biking, cross-country skiing, swimming, dancing. So many things that you can do for aerobic exercise. The second type of exercise we'll talk about tonight is strength training, also known as resistance or weight training. Now, the key to this form of exercise is to use resistance in order to induce muscular contraction. So with that, muscles are broken down during strength training. So your body has to increase the muscle protein synthesis, and that causes your muscles to grow. Different types of strength training, you can go with the traditional lifting weights. You can use your own body weight, or you can use resistant bands. So that's the what is exercise. The when, or how much should you exercise? Now, this is taken straight from the Department of Health and Human Services, and their recommendations are to get at least 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise, or 75 minutes a week of vigorous aerobic activity. Or you can do a combination with moderate and vigorous activity. And then in addition to that is to do 2 strength training sessions for all the major muscle groups in your body. So what could this potentially look like? Your week could consist of taking a class online or at the gym, so maybe a Zumba or spinning or kickboxing class. If you go on a walk or a bike ride or a hike outside, a high intensity interval training, and then 2 full body weight training sessions during the week. So I'm sure some of you are looking at this and saying that is an extreme amount of time, and it may put you off from exercise. With that, I would encourage you to increase the amount of your exercise by up to maybe 30 minutes a week. It's certainly a good starting point for you to build off of. And with exercise, you're going to reap health benefits no matter how much you put into it. Certainly, you're going to get more health benefits with the more that you exercise. So we've covered the what and the when, and I'm going to spend most of my time talking about the why. Why should we exercise? So regular exercise may help prevent or manage many health problems and concerns, but tonight I'm going to focus on depression and anxiety, coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and weight maintenance. Now, I always have to put in the caveat to talk with your doctor and make sure that you're working with your doctor to find the right exercise plan based on you and your health needs. So I've got a lot of studies that I've pulled information from for tonight's presentation. Instead of going through the boring details of listing the name of the study and all the authors, I've just got screenshots of the information. So I'm going to first talk about mental health. So focus on depression and anxiety in regards to exercise. So this study was done in Europe with adolescents, and they showed a really compelling link between physical activity and mental health. So the adolescents were provided a questionnaire where they answered questions about their physical activity, their participation in sports, and for the quote from the article, a validated instruments assessing well-being, depressive symptoms, and anxiety. So they had a validated method to really dive into their mental health. So overall, the outcomes from this study show that the frequency of physical activity had a positive correlation with well-being, and individuals with lower frequency of activity showed more symptoms for both anxiety and depression. So to put this in layman's terms, this means that individuals that exercise more frequently are more likely to have fewer symptoms of anxiety and depression. Another article that I read was by the Cochrane Institute. They did a huge review on mental health and exercise. If you are unfamiliar with the Cochrane Institute, it is a British international charitable organization that reviews medical research findings in order to facilitate evidence-based options about health interventions. That was a mouthful. So really what they're looking at is a multitude of studies and finding where is the evidence pointing to that there may be, if you implement this, that you could have positive health benefits. And so this one was focused on mental health. And with this, they wanted to look at exercise versus pharmacological treatment. And what they found was that there was no significant difference between the test groups that had pharmacological treatment or exercise. Pharmacological treatment means it's medication, whether it's prescribed by your doctor or your psychiatrist to treat depression and or anxiety. So the review concluded that if you have resistance or mixed training, they were more effective than if you did aerobic training alone. So just to recap, so these test subjects benefited equally whether they were in the exercise group or in the medication group. And then if they were in the combination of aerobic and resistance training group, that was the most effective. So overall, this shows the exercise can be really powerful to help individuals with mild depression and anxiety. Exercise can also be utilized in conjunction with medication and other treatments for those with more severe depression and anxiety. And I need to grab a drink for real quick. So from a personal experience, physical activity and exercise has been really key for me in my mental health. And to give a few reasons why. One, my mind is so focused on what I'm doing with the exercise that it doesn't have time or capacity to think about negative things or the stresses in my life. The social aspect, being outside with friends is awesome. Being out in nature and getting fresh air and sunshine is really good for me. And then for me, the sense of accomplishment is really vital. To utilize it, to have enough physical strength and mental strength in order to get through a workout, whether it's a really hard weightlifting session or a rock climbing route that I've been working on for a while that I finally am able to do without falling, or a new personal record on my bike rides. So I track my rides and I know when I've hit the fastest time that I have. So all of that is really helpful for me with my mental health. Next, I'm going to talk about coronary heart disease. And again, exercise can play a big role in preventing coronary heart disease. So all of us have a heart, and I would like to believe that we all want to keep it healthy as we age. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, exercise can help control some of the risk factors associated with coronary heart disease. So what is coronary heart disease? It is usually caused by atherosclerosis, which means there's a narrowing or blockage of the coronary arteries. Now, those arteries are what pump blood and oxygen to your heart. So it's vital that those stay open in order to keep blood flowing. So in this meta-analysis, and for those who don't know, a meta-analysis looks at multiple studies and pulls all the information together in order to give more robust results. So with this meta-analysis, they found that individuals that exercised at least 120 minutes per week showed an increase in high density lipoprotein, also known as HDL, or good cholesterol. And then on top of that, a positive impact was also seen for each additional 10-minute increment. So if you went from 120 minutes to 130, there was a positive impact from that. So why is HDL good for you? That is thought to remove the bad cholesterol from your arteries so that your blood can move freely to your heart. The National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute also states exercise helps with lowering blood pressure. So exercise strengthens your heart muscle and improves its ability to pump blood throughout your body, which may also help prevent heart disease. Next, I'm going to talk about type 2 diabetes, and I'm going to split this up into prevention versus those that have diabetes. So real quick, diabetes is when the insulin receptors in cells become less sensitive, and so the insulin can't connect to those receptors, and insulin needs to connect to those receptors in order for glucose to get into the cell. So if you look on the left, that's showing that the insulin is connected and that glucose is flowing into the cells. Whereas the picture on the right, the insulin is still stuck in the bloodstream, and therefore your glucose gets stuck in the bloodstream. So I wanted to go through this study. This was done in China, and they wanted to test diet and exercise impact on individuals with impaired glucose tolerance, meaning people that are on the cusp of developing diabetes. So your average person is not part of this study, just those that are potentially going to develop diabetes. So they followed these participants for 6 years and looked at how many of those people developed diabetes. Now they had 4 groups for this. The first group is your control group, which they had no intervention. So they didn't make any changes to their diet or exercise plans. They just lived their life normal. With that, almost 68% of the people in that group developed diabetes. Then they had a group that they just looked at diet, and that would be reducing the carbohydrates or refined grains, reducing your sugar intake, and maybe a lower fat diet. that group only had 44% of the individuals develop diabetes. The exercise group, that would be around 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day. And that group saw only 41% of individuals develop it. And then they did a combined group of diet and exercise and found 46 people. So essentially, all three of the intervention groups had a significant reduction in the development of diabetes. And this study has been replicated. So there are studies in Sweden, in Finland, and in the US that all have similar results to this. So exercise is really key to helping prevent diabetes. Now, for those that have diabetes, you can still reap beneficial impacts. So with this study, they had a set structure for the exercise programs that these individuals went through. And they did a combination of aerobic and resistance. And they found that the type of exercise was associated with hemoglobin A1C reduction in patients with type 2 diabetes. So what is hemoglobin A1C? So this is a marker for the average level of blood sugar over a 2 to 3 month period. So the lower hemoglobin A1C is associated with lower blood glucose levels, which is what you want. That means the blood is getting moved out of your bloodstream into your cells. So this shows that exercise is really helping your body be more effective and efficient at removing glucose from your bloodstream. And of course, I can't talk about exercise and not discuss weight maintenance. But instead of focusing on aerobic exercise, I'm going to focus on the connection of strength training and weight maintenance. So sarcopenia is a decline in muscle mass. And most individuals, after they turn the age of 30, each decade, they're going to lose muscle mass. And it's between 3 to 8%. Once you turn 50, that muscle mass decrease or muscle mass process speeds up, where you're losing 5 to 10% each decade after 50. So certainly weight training can slow this or even reverse the muscle loss. And hopefully most of you are aware, the more muscle mass you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate, meaning the more calories you expend at rest. So this study showed that if you can build 1 kilogram of muscle, then you can increase your resting metabolic rate up to 20 calories per day, meaning you're going through more calories while you're just sitting here watching this presentation. And then also with strength training, did you know that after you strength train, your resting energy expenditure may be elevated for up to 3 days after your workout? So this study looked at overweight college-age males and it put them into resistance training, and then measured their resting energy expenditure at 24, 48, and 72 hours after their weight training session. The study found a significant elevation in their resting energy expenditure, upwards of 5%, up to 72 hours when compared to if they looked at their baseline, prior to when they had exercised. And then one other study is looking at fatigue versus non-fatigue. And those people that can exercise to fatigue end up burning more calories. So or let me actually go into fatigue real quick of what it is. So with fatigue, let's say you have a weight with you, and you're doing bicep curls, and the first 5, 10 reps are super easy, and then when you get to like rep 12 or 13, it's like your brain is telling your mind or telling your arm, move the weight up, and you physically can't. That's when you've hit fatigue. And so fatigue is really important in order to help expend that 72 hours of increased energy expenditure, and to get more calorie expenditure just during your workout. So a lot of information for strength training, just to bring it all together. So if you look at the energy used during weightlifting to fatigue to where you can't lift anymore. The resting energy expenditure for up to 72 hours after training, and then the increased metabolic rate. These study participants expended up to an extra 100 calories per day. So a huge calorie expenditure for a pretty small time investment. So I've hit on a lot of information, so I'm just going to go through a quick recap. So aerobic exercise and resistance training, highly beneficial and may help with mental health, heart health, type 2 diabetes, and weight maintenance. Getting 150 minutes of aerobic exercise and 2 strength training sessions each week is recommended. And then certainly if that is too much of a time investment, just do something, anything that that you can fit into your schedule. I also encourage you to find something that you enjoy, because you're going to be much more likely to stick with it. So for me, it's rock climbing. I will always make time for rock climbing, no matter how hectic my week is. You can also join a workout group or a club in order to have a group to help you stick with it. Exercising with a friend, certainly for me, that's helped, because I know that there's been times I've committed to go on a hike and I get home from work and I'm like, I don't want to go out. But I've already committed, and then it turns into a great experience. Or getting a personal trainer. So certainly for me, this keeps me committed to my weightlifting, and it helps me push beyond where I would normally quit, and helps me get to that fatigue phase. Overall, I hope this has been beneficial. I was rushing through this, so I apologize for those that were getting translation on the spot.
Amazing, Katie. Wow. I have so many notes. I've written down so many great tips. Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone's feeling that way. Incredible. I think what really also stood out to me was some areas that you touched on, but just find something you love, right? And for me, that's been so true. I'm not one that just wants to run on a treadmill. I love getting outdoors. So especially right now, being on a lot more of the Zoom calls and doing things online, I've kind of been like, you know what, I'm going to throw in my pods and just walk, go out there, even though it's really cold in Toronto, get bundled up and go for a nice brisk walk while I'm, on a call versus just sitting in front of my computer. And for me, it's just being outdoors, right? So I love that you brought that up. And even just having someone that holds you accountable, like you shared, a friend or somebody, that really is an awesome tip. Thank you so much. The correlation between mental health, wow. Those studies are really powerful, and such a huge topic right now, right? With everything, it's been a huge topic, of course, but even more so right now with what we're kind of facing. And just the direct correlation with our overall health, from heart disease to diabetes. Absolutely awesome. Just wanted to say, I love that you had your little bicep curl hat. That was awesome. Thank you for that. That was just so fun. And we do have a couple questions, so are you okay with us diving into that? Can we go right into that?
You bet.
Is that a thumbs up? Okay. And again, just thank you so much. You've really poured into us, and we've learned so much tonight from you. So we're super grateful. So the first question, it's kind of a fun, simple one. What would be your top 3 tips to just improve your fitness game?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question and really important one. So my top 3, number 1 would be determine what your barriers are to exercise and then remove them. So for me, when I lived in Minnesota, so I like to work out after work, right after the work day. But when I was in Minnesota, if I would go home first in order to get my workout gear, then the odds of me leaving the house was pretty slim, because it's so cold. No one wants to be outside longer than they have to be. So I learned that if I take my necessary gear with me, put it in my car, and then I can just drive straight from work to the gym, then the odds of me going was a whole lot higher. So figure out, what your barriers are. Some people after work sounds miserable, and so maybe a morning workout is better for you. The second thing I would say is keep track of your workouts, so especially your weightlifting or strength training. So you want to be able to see how much are you working out, and certainly with strength training, are you making improvements? Are you able to lift more weight or do more reps? And there's tons of activity trackers out there. There's apps on your phone, or you can just put it in a diary, whether on your phone or write on a paper. And then the third tip I would have is be as consistent as you can. So habits and routines are super beneficial. And once you're out of the habit, it's so hard to get back in. So right now, my nephew lives with me. And when he first moved in, he was going to the gym all the time and exercising, and things were great. And then we had to quarantine for a couple of weeks, and so he wasn't allowed to go to the gym. It's been probably 3 to 4 months, and he's been in the gym no more than 5 times. And so for him, it was like he got out of that habit. He didn't find alternate ways to exercise while he was in quarantine, and now like it's so hard for him to get back into it.
Wow, those are amazing 3 tips. The first one especially, that really spoke to me. And how fun that your nephew is hanging out with you, huh? That must be a lot of adds a little more entertainment to the household, I'm sure.
You bet.
So the second question, I really like this one. And I grew up with athletes and my brothers both being in the fitness world. Like, it's interesting how a lot of times we're curious, before the workout, after the workout, post and pre and post, what is the best way to fuel our bodies? And I really watch them in that zone. So I'd love for you to share a little bit on that with us.
Yeah. So that one definitely depends on what kind of activity you're doing. So if you're doing more aerobic or endurance or a longer workout, or maybe one where you're just going to be sweating a ton, maybe like a yoga class, then getting electrolytes either before or during or after the workout is going to be key. So electrolytes play a really important part in regulating your nerve and muscle function. So every muscle contraction utilizes electrolytes, and that includes your heartbeat, since that is a muscle. So they need to be replenished after you exercise, and especially after sweating. If you're weightlifting, then getting protein, so at least 20 grams of protein within 20 minutes of your workout, whether that's before or after. Studies show that is the protein amount and the time that your body can utilize the protein most efficiently, and your muscles can repair that much faster and become that much stronger.
Okay. So 20 minutes, that's really key. Okay, awesome. Wow, that's awesome. And the third question that came through, this one I love because I've seen this to be true. There is so much focus on macronutrients, right? When it comes to anything with fitness, especially if you have a fitness community or people who are into performance, there's always so much focus on the macros like protein, fats and carbs. But what about the role of antioxidants and micronutrients to support your exercise plan?
Yeah, so micronutrients are definitely overlooked, like you were saying. I mean, here I just talked about protein. Electrolytes would be considered a micronutrient. But micronutrients are utilized in so many of your body's processes, especially at the cellular or cell level. So they're utilized in order to help your body create energy in order to maintain your bone health. They do protect against oxidative damage, and then they help with the creation and repair of muscle tissue. So all things that your body needs as it's working out, you need energy to keep going. You want your muscles to recover so that you can continue to help those grow. So micronutrients are going to be super key in all of those processes.
Yeah, I found like it was night and day for me when I really took a closer look at that angle and started to optimize on that level. Wow, what a difference it made for me in the fitness side of things. So Katie, thank you so much. This has been absolutely incredible. So much value. We've learned a lot tonight, and we're just so grateful for you. Thank you again. I'm going to pass it off to Allison to share a little bit more with us before we wrap up.
Thanks, Elisa. And thank you, Katie. That was really, really informative. It was helpful, and it certainly brought to light. It was a bit of an eye-opener. Let's just put it that way for sure. So thank you so much.